Did you know for Toy Story, some 3D effects were too complex or even impossible to calculate at the time of this film? Subtle tricks are used to avoid them. Examples: explosions. Thus the viewer doesn't see Combat Carl's demise. Hair dynamics. So Andy, Sid, and Molly all have short hair while Andy's mother's hair is always tied back in a simple-to-model ponytail. And flying water droplets. Thus the viewer doesn't see any liquid when Woody dunks his burning head into a bowl of cereal. 2. Tom Hanks recorded his dialogue during the breaks of Sleepless in Seattle and A League of Their Own. He didn't want to record his dialogue during the breaks of Philadelphia or Forrest Gump because he felt he shouldn't do comedic roles in between minutes of playing serious roles. 3. Tim Allen's favorite line as Buzz Lightyear is, "You are a sad, strange little man, and you have my pity." 4. The toolbox on top of the milk crate that Woody is trapped in is a Binford, the same tool brand that Tim Allen used on his television show Home Improvement. 5. Mr. Potato Head's line, "What are you looking at, you hockey puck?" is one of actor Don Rickles' catchphrases. Did you know for Good Will Hunting, Minnie Driver's character Skylar is named after Damon's girlfriend, Skylar Satinstein, who left Damon for Metallica drummer Lars Ulrich before filming began. Damon and Driver became romantically involved during production. 2. The odd and perplexing line, "I swallowed a bug," said by Casey Affleck in the Harvard bar scene, is a reference to the documentary Hearts of Darkness, a filmmaker's apocalypse, as well as actor Marlon Brando. The behind-the-scenes documentary tells of the making and struggles Francis Ford Coppola had during the production of Apocalypse Now. In a look at one of Marlon Brando's scenes, his line is interrupted when he accidentally swallows a real bug and states to Francis Ford, Coppola, off camera, "I swallowed a bug." 3. Kevin Smith from Clerks was offered the chance to direct the movie, but he turned it down because he knew that Matt Damon and Ben Affleck's first choice for director was Gus Van Sant. 4. The job interview Will sends Chucky on is for a company called Holden and McNeil. Ben Affleck's character in Chasing Amy is named Holden McNeil. Coincidentally, both films were released by Miramax. Did you know for The Usual Suspects, the idea for this movie started only with the concept of a movie poster of 5 men in a lineup? 2. The part of Verbal Kint was always intended for actor Kevin Spacey. 3. Christopher McQuarrie had previously worked for a detective agency, and this influenced the depiction of criminals and law enforcement officials in the script. 4. Christopher McQuarrie's inspiration for the character of Kaiser Soze was a real-life murderer by the name of John List, who murdered his family and then disappeared for 17 years. 5. The stolen emeralds were real gemstones, lent to the production. 6. Kevin Spacey met with doctors and experts on cerebral palsy to discuss how it might affect his characterization. 7. Originally, Kaiser Soze was supposed to have the name Kaiser Soom, named after Christopher McQuarrie's old boss. He allowed his old boss to read the script who did not want to be associated with an inherently evil villain, so requested a change be made. 8. All of the characters' names stem from the staff members of the law firm and the detective agency that Christopher McQuarrie worked at when he was young. Did you know for Reservoir Dogs, Tim Roth refused to read for the film? He did insist on going out drinking with Quentin Tarantino and Harvey Keitel. He agreed to read for them when they were all drunk. 2. Armed with $30,000 and a 16mm camera, Quentin Tarantino was all set to make the film with a bunch of friends, including his producing partner Lawrence Bender, who was going to play nice guy Eddie. It was then that Tarantino received an answer phone message from Harvey Keitel, asking if he could not only be in the film, but help produce it. Keitel had gotten involved via the wife of Bender's acting class teacher, who had managed to get a copy of the script to him. Keitel's involvement helped raise the budget to $1.5 million. 3. At the very first screening of the film at the Sundance Film Festival, Quentin Tarantino stood up in the middle of the movie and told them to stop projecting, due to the fact that the entire film was shot in widescreen, and the projector only had a normal-sized lens, not meant for widescreen. So half of whatever was shot wasn't up on screen. Did you know that for Deadpool, the Deadpool costume originally had a muscle layer underneath, but it had to be removed as Ryan Reynolds was so muscular, the costume was not only too tight for him, but it made him look over-large. 2. On April Fool's Day in 2015, Ryan Reynolds posted on Twitter that the film would be rated PG-13, which prompted fan backlash as the Deadpool character often swears and commits acts of graphic violence. Later that day, Reynolds confirmed that it was a prank and the film would be R-rated. 3. In the trailer and in the film, Wade Wilson requests, "Don't make the super suit green," or animated. This is a reference to Ryan Reynolds' previous role as the DC superhero Green Lantern, whose green suit was a special effect rather than an actual costume for Reynolds to put on. Deadpool pokes even more fun at the costume in a deleted scene on the Blu-ray copy of the movie. 4. Ryan Reynolds' full body makeup took 8 hours to apply. Once it was on, he was not able to sit or lie down. 5. Ryan Reynolds was involved with revising the script with the writers. Cast members were allowed to improvise in some scenes. Did you know for Jurassic Park, Steven Spielberg was in the very early stages of pre-production for the movie ER when he heard about the Jurassic Park book? He subsequently dumped what he was doing to make this movie. Afterwards, he returned to ER and helped develop it into the hit television series. 2. The guest's encounter with the sick Triceratops ends without any clear explanation as to why the animal is sick. Michael Crichton's original novel and the screenplay, however, include an explanation. The Triceratops lacked suitable teeth for grinding food, and so, like birds, would swallow rocks and use them as gizzard stones. In the digestive tract, these rocks would grind the food to aid in digestion. After 6 weeks, the rocks would become too smooth to be useful, and the animal would regurgitate them. When finding and eating new rocks to use, the animal would also swallow West Indian lilac berries. The fact that the berries and stones are regurgitated explains why Ellie never finds traces of them in the animal's excrement. 3. Before the book was published, Michael Crichton demanded a non-negotiable fee of $1.5 million, as well as a substantial percentage of the gross. Did you know that for Up, this was the film debut of Jordan Nagai, who voices Russell? Originally, his older brother Hunter was auditioning for the part, and Nagai simply came along with him. About 400 children had shown up for the auditions, but Nagai stood out because he would not stop talking, and they realized he had the same personality and mannerisms as they envisioned for Russell. Director Pete Docter later said that, "As soon as Jordan's voice came on, we started smiling because he's appealing and innocent and cute and different from what I was initially thinking." 2. Disney attached balloons to the roof of Edith Macefield's house in the Seattle neighborhood of Ballard, Washington. Edith fought building developers, and her little house still stands in the center of a large development known as the Ballard Blocks. However, development on this film began a full 2 years prior to the incidents in Washington, so any similarities are purely coincidental. 3. It was the very first animated film, as well as the first 3D film ever to open the Cannes Film Festival. When the film was over, the festival audience remained completely silent. During a panel at the 2011 D23 Expo, executive producer John Lasseter said that it was actress Tilda Swinton who broke the silence by applauding and leading the audience in a standing ovation. Did you know for The Truman Show, Paramount was cautious about the film, which they dubbed the most expensive art film ever made because of its $60 million budget? They wanted the film to be funnier and less dramatic. Peter Weir also shared this vision, feeling that Andrew Niccol's script was too dark and declaring, "Where Nicol had it depressing, I could make it light. It could convince audiences they could watch a show in this scope 24/7. Nicol wrote 16 drafts of the script before Weir considered the script ready for filming. 2. When Truman goes to the travel agency, the travel agent apologizes for being late and is wearing a bib, which she removes the second she notices it. Unbeknownst to Truman, the woman is late because she's an actress who's never played this role before and had to prepare. The bib she was wearing was a makeup bib actors and other on-screen personalities wear, while makeup artists fix their faces. 3. Instead of his then-standard $20 million paycheck, Jim Carrey accepted $12 million for his dramatic acting services.